Everyone, today we are going to start with a very interesting chapter that is cell, fundamental unit of life. So before we move on ahead, I just want to know one thing that why do we study biology? What do you mean by biology? So let's start with that. Suppose bacha, what is biology? Let's write biology. This word divided into two parts. Yes, one is bio and one is logy. Now here, what does logy means? Logy means study, bio means life, or let's say living or life. So all together we call it as biology, and the meaning is study of life. And everywhere is life, right? We are surrounded by plants, we are surrounded by chota animals, right? So all these are what? These are living creatures. So all together they make bio. So let's get started with the very interesting part, cell. Now here, what is a cell? So cell is defined as the smallest basic unit of life that is responsible for all the life processes which are happening inside our body. So basic unit, like everything we must have heard about unit in physics also, chemistry also, everywhere we heard about unit. Same here in our body also we have a unit that we call it as what? We call it as a cell. So cell, what it is? It is the unit of life. That means it is going to make a structure. Whatever thing is happening right now, I'm able to talk. So what it is doing, it is also helping in functioning of the body. And so that's why cell is known as of three things: structural, functional, biological unit of all living beings. Let's understand with an example. Suppose we are going to make a house. So when we make a house, from starting, does it look like this? No. What it looks like, we have one small brick, then we have cement, then we will get all the people who are going to make our house. Same bacha with our body also it happens. Whenever you are going to create one more Ayushma madam, so what you are going to get, you need a cell. What you need, you need a cell. So that's why, to make first Aishma ma'am, you will need one cell, then two cell, then three cell, like that, and you will create one organism. So cell is the smallest unit of our body. And next, one more word you have seen here, that life processes. Now what are life processes? Life, so in our body, we can see there are so many things happening. Let's take example of one thing, that is excretion. Excretion is what? We remove our waste every day from our body, right? And we also do respiration. Respiration means we are going to take the air, like that is going to be rich in oxygen. That we call it as breathing. But respiration is what? What we do of that oxygen. That oxygen is going to enter into the cell and it is going to break the glucose in presence of oxygen. We call it as respiration. Now you tell me, if all these activities will not happen in our body, can we survive? No. So because of these processes which are happening in our body, we are able to survive. And who is responsible behind that? That is cell. So cell makes up our body. Okay. Now cell, the study of cell, what do you call it as? We call it as cytology. Cyto means cell, logy means study. So study of cell is cytology. What is cell biology? Cell biology is a branch of biology that deals with the study of cells, or we can say cytology. Cytology means basically we are going to, specifically we are going to all study about cell. Okay, now let's move to the next topic of cell. As you can see, what is this? What is this jumping? That is a bark of a tree. And here we can see a scientist. Who is this scientist? This is Sir Robert Hooke. We always say sir while we are using the scientist name, because they have done a lot of discoveries and they have been an important part of this world. So here we talk about Sir Robert Hooke. He is the one who discovered the first cell. What he discovered? He did the first discovery. He did first discovery of the cell. What he did? He discovered the first living cell, first the first discovery of cell. Who discovered? That was Sir Robert Hooke. In which year he discovered the first cell? That was in the year of 1665. But here it is not about only his discovery of that cell, but where did he discover? Actually, it was a dead cell. Dead cell what? So, beta, it was looking like this, comb like structures. So, these comb like structures, you can see small, small boxes. So, these boxes are nothing but they are cells. And from where they come, you can see this jumping bark. So, bark is what? Bark is a part of a tree. And these part, so you call it as cork. And why they were dead? So they were dead because they are made up of what? They are made up of sclerenchyma. What they are made up of? They are made up of sclerenchyma tissue. Tissue is what we will get to know later on, but I will explain here that tissue is a group of cells. So after cell, what it will become? It will become a tissue. After tissue, what it will become? It will become an organ. After organ, a organ system. And after an organ system, we get so many systems. We can create Ayushma madam, right? Or an organism. So why it was dead? Why it was dead? Because of sclerenchyma tissue. So sclerenchyma, they are dead tissue. They make up the strongest part of the tree, that is nothing but bark. So he took the bark and then he observed under the microscope and he saw that there was no movement. So that's why it was the first cell, but it was a dead cell. Now, after that, he has also made some self-designed microscopes, and where he used to post everything, where he used to write in a book named as Micrographia. Micro means what? Micro means small or tiny. So he used to explain about all tiny organisms in this book, that is Micrographia. Now let's move to the next part, that is Anton van Leeuwenhoek or Sir Anton van Leeuwenhoek. So who is he? So this you can see in the picture that he is the one who discovered the first living cell. First living cell was discovered by whom? It was Sir Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. And in which year he discovered? It was 1674. Somewhere it is also given 1660, 1675, but we consider 1674 majorly or generally. Okay, so where he discovered, as see in the next picture also, a moving tiny organism. So that means he observed the cell in water. Where he discovered? He discovered in the water. So he used to have a habit of, taking his, the microscope which he discovered like everywhere. And he used to have a habit of that micro lens he used to have, and he used to use that lens everywhere and he used to observe everything. So one day he visited the pond and he collected some water from there. And what he did, he took that pond water to his lab. To his lab, he took, and he in the lab observed it. Okay, and then he saw small, small moving microorganisms, or let's say organisms, and he named those microorganisms as animalcules. And today, what we call them as? We call them as microorganisms. That time he used to call them as animalcules. Animalcules means tiny organisms. And today's time, what we know, we call them as microorganisms. So he was the first one who discovered the first living cell. But he also couldn't explain that why this cell is living. But in further, PPT, we will see that who told that why this cell is living. But as he discovered not only the first living cell, he also saw like other things like RBC, which we call them as red blood cells. He also observed sperm and many other cells. Okay, some bacterial cells also he observed. Then that because of so many discoveries, and he also discovered more than around 500 microscopes. He used to have a habit of that, and because of that he had been so famous, and he is known as father of microbiology. Now what is microbiology? Let's see. Micro, as I have told you, you call it as small. Bio means life. Logy means study. So study of tiny living organisms, where you will study microbiology. So he has been worked since so many years, and he has given almost his life to bio. So that's why he is regarded as father of microbiology. Now let's move to the next topic, that is Robert Brown. So you can see Sir Robert Brown here. What he contributed to bio. He discovered the nucleus. What he discovered? He discovered nucleus. You can see in this like presentation also, you can see what is this thing moving around. What is this? This is nothing, bacha. This is the controller of our cell, that is nucleus. So Robert Brown was the one who discovered the nucleus in the year of 1831. Okay, so nucleus here, what it is, as we can learn here right now, one thing, that nucleus is the controller or director of the cell. Means, suppose you are in a school and you must have seen your principal or vice principal. So, who controls the whole school? That is your principal. So, here also, same thing, who is controlling the cell? So, there is one driver who is driving the cell wherever they want. So that is your nucleus. And what is that nucleus contains? It contains our genetic material, that is what? DNA. So DNA is present inside the nucleus. Okay, so let's move to the next topic, that is J. Purkinje. Who was J. Purkinje? He was the one who termed protoplasm. Protoplasm. In 1839, he coined the term protoplasm. Now, what is protoplasm? Protoplasm is, suppose, let's draw a cell. This is what? This is a cell. Now, same like our body, we have organs. Our body is made up of what? Organs. So, let's say liver. So, how this liver is made up of? Liver is also made up of cells, which we call them as hepatocytes. So, every organ has their own cells. So, they have a name. Like we have a nickname, so they also have a name. So, hepatocytes. So, let's see how the cell looks. So, better inside the cell also, they have their organs. Okay, they have their own organs. We call them as cell organelles. What we call them as cell organelles. So, here, what is this protoplasm? They have written fluid substance of the cell, means it is the living matter present inside the cell. See here, fluid, let's say it is made up of water. Now you must have heard this one line, wherever there is water, there is life, right? So same here, this protoplasm is what? It is the living material of the cell. So it consists of two parts. One is nucleus and one is some fluidy substance, that we call it as cytoplasm. What we call it as cytoplasm. So nucleus plus cytoplasm plasm equals to what? Protoplasm. Okay. Next, Rudolf Virchow. So there are so many scientists who have helped, in discovering of cell and the cell organelles and what thing happens because of cell. So let's see. Sir Rudolf Virchow, in the year of 1855, he was a German pathologist. So he told, actually till here nobody could tell that from where these cells are coming. Everybody told that okay, cell is made up of this. First discovery of cell also happened, but no one could explain that from where these cell is coming. So he was the one who told that cells arise from pre-existing cells. Or let's say what he gave one statement, that is omnis cellula e cellula, means cells arise from pre-existing one, means today we know that cell divide. You can see that in this diagram also. This is one cell and this cell is splitting into two, means from where the cell came, from the previous one. So let's see here, this is the cell. So what will happen, this cell is going to give rise to two cells. So like this, we know, we today we study about cell division. So he was the one who could explain about from where the cells are coming. Okay, now next, cell theory. Cell theory is basically a theoretical part from where we can learn, okay, all these statements came about the cell. So there were two scientists also involved in this. One was Scladden and one was Swan. Both were the biologists. One was studying zoology, one was studying botany. Zoology means we study about animals, botany means we study about plants. So they both told that one told all plants are made up of cell, and the other one, he told that all animals are made up of cells. Okay, then there was a fight going on. You can see in this diagram also that there was a fight going on, that what, how should we formulate the cell theory, what changes we have to bring. So here Rudolf Virchow, what he told what he told that all living organisms are made up of cells. Second, he told that cells, from where they come, cells arise from pre-existing one. Okay, correct. So this is the cell theory which we know today. Okay, so it was explained in that way. So here we can see all living organisms are composed of cells and products of cells. Means inside the cell also we have organs. Okay. So you can see this dog, what it is saying, you can see tiny, tiny things present. And what are those? Those are the cells. Okay. So all cells arise from the pre-existing one. So that's how here discovery of cell and cell theory it ends. Next, we are starting with shape of cell. Now, as I have told you, every organ they have their own cells and they have a nickname, but also they have a specific shape. So, shape of cells basically depends upon the function it works for. Means what, however the function it is, same thing. Like it will attain a shape also. Suppose nerve cells, what is the function of nerve cells? They help in making up a nervous system. Correct? And what is the function of nervous system? Transmitting of impulse. And they carry the impulse from one message from one place to another. And they have to cover a lot of long distance. So here, if I talk, so the nerve cell is what? They are elongated and branch to catch the, we can say, electric impulse. So they are going to be like this, they are going to catch the impulse and it will transmit from whole body and it will reach very fast. Okay, next, red blood cells, what they do, they transport oxygen. So what is their shape? The shape is like saucer shape or discoidal or biconcave. Next, muscle cell. Muscle cells, as we know, our muscles have to keep on contracting. The shape is going to be like this, spindle. You can see in the diagram, the shape is going to be spindle shape. Now, spherical, we can see egg, like ovum, we can see here. Ovum is what? It is the female gamete. What it is? Female gamete. Branched, we can see pigment cell of the skin. Basically, we call them as melanocytes. What we call them as? Melanocyte. Cyte means cell. Melano, why? Because it secretes a pigment, melanin, which decides the color of the skin, dark or light. Then we have paramecium. Paramecium, can you see this? It looks like a sleeper. So slipper shape, like we wear the slippers chappal, right? So somewhere it looks like a slipper, and it's a unicellular organisms just like amoeba. You can see other cells also, like sperm cell. It has a tail. Then white blood cells, they basically they don't have a specific shape. They can change their shape. Okay. Next, you can see I explained cuboidal germ cells of gonads. Gonads are nothing but these are the reproductive. We have reproductive parts. So those parts are made like basically they are also known as gonads, like ovary and testis. So they also have cells. They have a shape, we call them as cuboidal shape. Okay, next we have liver cells. So liver cells, you can see they are looking like polygonal, and this is nothing but this is a skin cell. We call it as melanocyte. And we studied in the last slide that melanocytes are the one which secrete what? Melanin pigment, and their shape is what? Branched. Just like nerve cell, you can see they also have these dendrites, branches. They also have dendrites. Now we study about unicellular organism and multicellular organism. So you must have heard that some organisms are made up of single cell and they're tiny, and some are made up of multicellular organisms, multiple cells like us, or let's say plants. So here, first let's talk about unicellular. Uni. So unicellular itself. See, uni means what? Uni means one, single, whole time single, right? For whole life, they are going to be single cells. Example, bacteria, amoeba, chlamydomonas, paramecium. They are what? They are all unicellular organisms. Now, this single cell is going to perform all life processes. As we talked about life processes in the last slide, like life processes are the processes by which we are going to able to survive. Basically, excretion, respiration, growth, reproduction, nutrition. All these are what? These are the things which are happening in our body, and we are able to survive. We call them as life processes. Okay, so life processes, without life processes, we are not able to survive. These are very important things which has to happen, and because of this, we will be able to survive. Next, come here multicellular. Multi means what? They are made up of more than two cells. Two, three, four, five, six, seven, right? But it's not like that. We are made up of what? So example here, some fungus are there, plants, animals, they are what? See, in biology, exceptions will be there. Some fungus are there which are exceptionally multicellular. Some are there which are unicellular. So unicellular fungus is what? Yeast. We will talk about yeast later on. But first let's talk about plants and animals. Plants and animals are what? They are multicellular. Means they are made up of more than two cells, right? Multiple. And if we talk about us or plants, we are made up of millions of cells. We have trillions of cells in our body, and that's how organism is known as multicellular organism. Now, here is a very interesting question. Which property of multicellular organisms differentiate them from unicellular organisms? So, differentiate means how you differentiate that you are a multicellular, and how you will differentiate that you are a unicellular. It's not about that you are made up of one cell or you are made up of many cells. So, here one interesting topic comes, that is the answer here comes is division of labor. What it is? Division of labor. Now let's understand. Have you heard this labor word anywhere? What does this labor means? Labor, you see people, we are also labor, we are a teacher, we are working, so we are what? We are laborers. People also make house, we also call them as labor, right? So labor is, we can say, a person who works, right? Or they are helping in completing one work, or they are running a system. System means so many people run all together. So here, as we know, multicellular means made up of so many cells. so many cells we are made up of. And unicellular means what? That we are made up of one cell. So, beta, in last slide, I talked that this unicellular organism is going to perform all life processes alone. Means that tiny single organism is going to perform every function, excretion, respiration, whatever they want, transportation, so that will perform. But here, if I talk about us, can we do that? Are we that small? No. We are multicellular organisms, so we have different body system. Suppose, as I told, that a cell becomes what? Tissue becomes what? Organ. Organ becomes organ system. What it becomes? It becomes organ system. And this organ system is going to create a organism. What it is going to create? A organism. So here what I am trying to say, I'm trying to say that we all have what? Multicellular organisms have one property that makes different from unicellular and multicellular, that is division of labor. Let's understand with one example. You are going to construct a house, okay, or you want people to come and you want them to make your house. So what you need is going to, like, the same person who is like making the walls or creating the walls, are they going to paint? No, you need a painter. For plumbing, you need a plumber. So different work has been given to every people. Same here in our body also. Let's talk about system, about like we have circulatory system. Circulatory system is going to do what? It is going to help in transportation. Means we will talk about heart and blood vessels. Now, if I talk about nervous system, what it will do? Control and coordination. Right now, I'm moving my hands in a control and coordinated way. Means everything is happening all together. Right? So, this is what? Nervous system. Correct? Respiration, we will talk about respiration and breathing. We will talk about the nasal passage, nose, lungs, right? Cell. So, all these things comes all together. So, that's why we have one major difference, one property between to differentiate multicellular and unicellular, and that property is nothing but division of labor. Okay, now let's move to the next part. What cell made up of? As we can see in this slide, you can see this a gif is there, which is going to tell you about a cell. That in the cell you will find organs, and what we call them as cell organelles. But before that, we will talk about the content of the cell. That cell has an outer covering that we call it as cell membrane. Suppose this is a cell, so this covering of the cell is what? We call it as CM, PM, plasma lemma, cell membrane, plasma membrane. Okay. Then again inside that we have one more thing, that is protoplasm. Protoplasm, I told you previously that it consists of two parts. One is cytoplasm and one is nucleus. The cytoplasm, bacha, again, as I told the fluid there, but here we will see the correct version, that cytoplasm will also have two parts. One is going to be the liquid, that we call it as cytosol, and one we will have the cell organelles. So cell also have organs, we call them as cell organelles. Next we have the controller of the cell, that is nucleus, and nucleus consists of all these things which we will talk one by one. And these are the cell organelles which we have inside the cell: ribosomes, plastid, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, lysosomes. All these are the parts of cell. So one by one, we are going to cover in the upcoming classes. Okay. Next, this is a diagrammatic representation and it can tell you the difference between a plant cell and animal cell. So the major difference which you will find here, that plants has what they have, a cell wall. What they have? They have a cell wall. Okay, this is the major difference between a plant and animal cell. And next is chloroplast. We will talk about this later on, but first of all, you take 2 points from here. One is cell wall and one is chloroplast. Okay, let's see the animal cell. So, animal cell, you can see there is no chloroplast and there is no cell wall. Only what is there? That is cell membrane. Cell membrane was there in the plants also, but animals you will not find a cell wall. So, what is the cell wall? So cell wall is an extra protective covering which is you will find only in plants. Okay, in animals only one protective covering is there, that is cell membrane. And why it is so? Because cell wall is what? Extra protective layer. From where? Why do they need protection? Do they live in a house? Plants do live in a house? No. They are exposed to the outer environment. So they need extra protection. So because of that, nature has given them extra covering. That is cell wall. And chloroplast, what is the function of chloroplast? Can plants make their own food or they depend on someone? No, they can make their own food, and that what you call it as? You call it as photosynthesis. And for photosynthesis or to capture the sunlight, what they need? They need what? They need chloroplast or they need chlorophyll. And this chlorophyll is present inside the chloroplast. Okay, one thing we are going to start is plasma membrane. We will just give a short outlook, then we will cover this part in the next class. So, plasma membrane. What is plasma membrane or what do you understand by plasma membrane? Let's talk. Plasma membrane is first of all also known as PM, not Chief Minister or Prime Minister. We can say CM, PM, plasma lemma or biomembrane, right? It's a living thing. So all living cells have a plasma membrane that encloses their content. Means what things are present inside the cell, they cannot come out, right? So they need a protective layer, that is plasma membrane. Okay, now what this plasma membrane looks like? So first of all, it is a phospholipid bilayer membrane. Bilayer means what? You can see here one layer, then this sandwich pattern. You need two breads, one set, right? And then in the middle, you will put your cheese, lot of cheese and veggies, right? Same here. In between that, you will find the things. Okay. And what this thing is made up of? It is made up of protein, carbs, or we can say carbohydrates, right? And then it is made up of lipids, or we can say fat, right? So we need protein, carbohydrates, lipids, or we can say fat to make up the membrane. And also it has an extra group that you call it as phosphate group. So phospholipid, phosphate is also there, and lipid bilayer. Bilayer means bi means two. So two layer, one bread, second bread. And also it looks like a sandwich pattern. Okay. It serves as a selectively permeable barrier to the outside environment. See, do we allow everyone to enter our house? No, right? We have a gate. Same here, it is also acting as a gate. Nothing can go outside, nothing can come inside. Not like that. Selectively means to whom she likes, they will be allowed. Means selected molecules can enter. Selected one can enter. And you can see in this diagram how things are entering. Okay. And has two parts. You can see here also hydrophilic and hydrophobic. Means you can see one head and you can see the tail. Now this head beta, this is towards the outer side. And this is tail, it is towards inside. Means head is outer and it is inside. So this, suppose this is my hand, this is the outer part and this is the inside part. So if I put water, where you will get first feeling that okay, you have water on your hand, this part. So this head loves water, this head likes water, so you call it as hydrophilic. And this tail is inside the, like my hand, this part was inside, so it doesn't like water, hates water. So this is what hydrophobic. Phobic means you must have heard about so many phobias, phobias of height, phobias of water, phobias of fire. So phobic means fear. Hydro means water. So fear of water. Hydrophobic. Hydrophilic means loving. So they love water. Means they like water. So hydrophilic. So this is a model which was given by two famous scientists, Singer and Nicholson. And they have given it as fluid mosaic model. And you can see here that the membrane is made up of lipids, phospholipids and proteins. The major part, the membrane is made up of proteins. So today we are going to end the class here. All these things we are going to cover in the next part. Okay, I hope everyone of you have understood. So thank you for today. So let's see you in the next class.